Hey there. Yes, you. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to wake up one morning and find yourself in the medieval era? No phones, no lights, no comfort of modern life. Only castles, stone roads, and fields of survival. Tonight, I invite you to step into that forgotten world. Imagine the clang of blacksmiths' hammers, the whispers of guarded halls, the danger of strangers who see you as an outsider. This is not just history, it is your story. A single day, a single chance to survive where the past still breathes. Close your eyes now and let me take you there, step by step, as we walk into the very first dawn of your medieval life.
The first sound you hear is not an alarm clock, but the distant call of a rooster. Your body stirs on something rough and uneven. When your eyes finally open, you do not see your room. There is no ceiling fan, no light bulb. Above you stretches a wooden roof, with gaps where the morning sun peeks through. The smell is different: smoke, hay, sweat, and something earthy. You sit up slowly, heart racing. Where are you? The clothes on your body are not your own. A rough tunic, coarse and itchy, clings to your skin. Your shoes are nothing but worn leather. And as the confusion grows, one truth dawns on you. You are no longer in your world. Somehow, you have woken up in the medieval age.
You push open a creaking wooden door. The light of dawn spills across a dirt road. Thatched huts line the way. Smoke curls lazily from chimneys. Chickens scurry, dogs bark, and a few villagers glance your way. Their eyes are sharp, suspicious. You realize quickly, you are an outsider here. In a world where strangers are often feared, survival will not be easy. You take a deep breath. Step 1, blend in. Step 2, learn fast. Step 3, stay alive until night falls again. Your stomach growls. The reality hits hard. You will need food. You spot a woman carrying bread in a basket, children tugging at her skirts. She notices you, narrows her eyes, and hurries away. Coins. You will need coins, but how do you get them? You have nothing. No phone to sell, no card to swipe. In the medieval world, survival is trade. Perhaps work, perhaps help in the fields, perhaps some luck. But until then, you must be careful not to steal. Here, a thief's punishment could mean public shame, or worse. Drawn by the rhythmic clang of hammer on metal, you follow the sound to a blacksmith's forge. Sparks fly as iron bends under fire. The blacksmith, a broad man with soot-streaked face, pauses to glare at you. Need something, stranger? His voice is heavy. You shake your head, mumbling that you're only passing through. His gaze lingers a moment longer before he returns to his work. Lesson learned. In this world, questions invite suspicion. Silence may be safer than words. By midday, the village stirs with more noise. You find yourself before a low wooden building. Laughter, shouts, and the clink of mugs spill out. A tavern. Inside, warmth and danger mingle. Men sit at tables, mugs of ale slamming down, dice rolling across wood. At the counter, women move between tables, serving drinks with practiced ease. Their eyes are quick, measuring, always alert. You realize something important. Taverns are not just for drinking. They are hubs of gossip, survival, and power.
One of the women notices you. She approaches, setting down a mug before you, though you never ordered. Her smile is thin, her voice sharp. First time here, stranger? You nod carefully. Survival here depends on respect. These women are not only servers, they are survivors themselves. In medieval times, taverned women had seen everything: fights, secrets, strangers who stayed too long. They could be your allies or your downfall. You remind yourself, never underestimate them. Speak with respect. Listen more than you talk. Pay if you can. As you sip the bitter ale, a voice drifts to your ear. It is the same woman. Outsiders don't last long here unless they learn fast. Keep your head low. Watch who you trust. And don't touch what isn't yours. Her tone carries no warmth, yet beneath it, perhaps a shred of warning, maybe even protection. You nod silently, grateful for the words. Survival lesson number 1. In the tavern, the women see everything. Respect them, and they may save you from trouble. Cross them, and you'll never make it to morning. But survival is never simple. Across the room, a man slams his mug down, eyeing you with suspicion. You there, where do you come from? The tavern grows quieter. All eyes shift to you. Heart pounding, you scramble for words. You mutter something about being from a far-off village, looking for work. The man narrows his gaze, but before he can rise, the tavern woman steps in. Leave him be, she says firmly. For now, you are safe, but you feel the eyes on your back as you finish your drink. Outside, the afternoon market bursts alive. Stalls brim with bread, cloth, and tools. The smell of roasted meat twists your hunger tighter. Coins clink in others' hands, but yours remain empty. You remember the tavern woman's words. Don't touch what isn't yours. Survival will require patience, maybe a chance to help carry goods, maybe a task no one else wants. You must earn trust before you earn bread. As the sun sinks, torches light the roads. You find a quiet corner near the barns, where hay smells warm and sleep pulls at your eyelids. The day has been long, your mind heavy with lessons. Blend in. Respect the taverned women. Work for food, not steal. Tomorrow, new dangers may come, but you have survived the first day. The medieval night stretches above you, stars cold and sharp. You whisper to yourself, one day at a time, one choice at a time. And with that, you drift into an easy sleep, surrounded by a world both ancient and alive. The first light of morning creeps across the thatched rooftops. You wake with a shiver, hay clinging to your clothes, the roughness of the barn floor aching in your bones. Medieval mornings are not soft. There is no alarm clock, only the sound of roosters, distant church bells, and the muffled chatter of villagers already awake. Survival here begins before sunrise. You rise slowly, brushing straw from your tunic, and realize you must find work today. Without it, hunger will be your enemy. Stepping into the narrow dirt road, you notice the village has transformed from last night's quiet. Women carry buckets of water from the well, their hands red from the cold. Children chase goats, laughter ringing out before being silenced by mothers' scolding voices. Farmers push carts of hay, shouting to make way. No one spares you more than a glance, but each glance feels heavy, measuring, asking, who is this stranger among us? You pull your tunic closer and keep walking. The scent of fresh bread drifts toward you, drawing you to a small stone bakery. Inside, a baker slams dough onto a wooden table, flour dusting his thick arms. You step closer, stomach growling. He notices. Hungry, eh? No coin, I wager. You nod sheepishly. He sighs, then jerks his chin toward a stack of firewood. Chop it. Keep the oven burning, and I'll give you a crust. Relief floods you. Work has found you. Perhaps not gold, but bread is worth more than silver when your belly is empty. The axe feels heavy in your hands. Each swing is clumsy at first, jarring your arms. Splinters bite your skin, but slowly, rhythm finds you. Swing, crack, split. Sweat builds despite the morning chill. Villagers passing by pause to watch, some nodding at your effort, others whispering. You realize, in this world, survival is not only about strength, but about showing you belong. Each piece of wood split earns you more than bread. It earns you small fragments of trust. At last, the baker hands you a hunk of warm bread, its crust golden, its center soft. You bite into it hungrily, savoring each chew as though it were a feast.
The baker studies you a moment longer. Strange clothes, strange way of talking. Keep working hard and folk might stop staring. His words sting, but he offers another crust wrapped in cloth. For later. For the first time, you feel a thread of kindness in this harsh new world. As you wander into the market square again, bread in hand, you notice the stairs. Merchants selling cloth, potters arranging jugs, farmers with baskets of onions. They glance at you, whisper, shake their heads. Outsiders are not easily trusted. One woman mutters, "A drifter. No good comes of them." You lower your gaze. The lesson deepens. Survival is not only about food, it is about reputation. If you want to stay, you must earn a place among them. A heavy toll of the church bell breaks the morning chatter. Villagers cross themselves, some kneeling in the dirt before the wooden church at the village's heart. Religion here is not private. It is life, law, and loyalty. You hesitate, uncertain. Do you kneel as they do, though it feels strange? Or do you stand apart, risking suspicion? A choice must be made. You bow your head slightly, mimicking the others. Survival, after all, often means blending in, even when the motions are unfamiliar. As you turn to leave, a familiar voice calls. It is the tavern woman from last night, carrying a small jug of ale to deliver. Her eyes narrow. "So, you're still here. Most strangers don't last past the first night." You shrug awkwardly, holding up the bread. She smirks. "Learned quick, I see. Work for food, respect the hands that serve it. Good. But remember, this place may feed you, but it can turn on you just as fast. Watch yourself." Her words linger, both sharp and strangely protective. By noon, your arms ache from labor, and your mind swirls with possibilities. The blacksmith needs an apprentice, though his temper is fierce. The farmer needs field hands, but the work is endless and brutal. The tavern always needs servers, but stepping into that world could bring danger, temptation, and debt. Each path has risk, each offers survival of a kind. The question haunts you: which path will keep you alive long enough to see tomorrow's dawn? For now, you choose rest on the edge of the market. A small boy approaches shyly, staring at your bread. His eyes are wide, his ribs thin. Without thinking, you break the crust in half and hand it to him. He beams, scampering off. A nearby woman watches, her face softening. She does not speak, but her gaze carries less suspicion than before. And in that moment, you realize survival is not only about strength or cunning. Sometimes it begins with a simple act of kindness. By midday, the square grows crowded. Farmers argue prices, children dart between stalls, and old women gossip with sharp tongues. But amid the noise, you hear it. Your name, or rather, the word they use for you, stranger. The whispers sting. Outsiders bring misfortune, they say. Outsiders steal, lie, curse the harvest. Their voices are not loud, but they ripple like poison in water. The truth sets in. Survival here will not be a battle against hunger alone, but against suspicion. Suddenly, a heavy voice booms across the market. The village bailiff, a man in rough leather armor with a wooden staff, strides forward. "You there," he calls, pointing at you. The crowd turns. Your stomach drops. "Have you done something wrong?" "The lord of this manor requires every able hand for service today," he declares, "and that includes strangers." He does not wait for an answer. Two men shove you toward him, and just like that, your trial begins. The bailiff marches you to the stone gate of the landlord's manor. It looms tall, with banners fluttering above, guarded by men in chainmail. Inside, the air feels heavier, as though rules are stricter, eyes sharper. The villagers who followed stop at the gate. They may gossip, but even they respect the manor's authority. The gate creaks open. You step inside, uncertain whether this is an opportunity or a trap. In the courtyard, the landlord himself appears. He is not old, but his eyes are cold, calculating. He studies you, head tilted. "A wanderer," he says, almost amused. "Let us see if you are useful or a waste." With a snap of his fingers, he orders, "The stable needs mucking. The oxen need tending. Fail, and you'll be sent to the stocks." The word stocks chills you, a punishment of shame, where men are locked in wood for all to mock. This is not just work, it is judgment. The stables reek of hay, sweat, and dung. Oxen snort, stamping their hooves, and horses toss their heads, nervous at your unfamiliar presence. A servant shoves a rake into your hands. "Clean it. Don't spook the animals." Your body aches from the morning's labor, but you cannot refuse. You dig in, scraping, hauling, dumping muck into a pit. The stench clings to you, choking, but slowly the stalls begin to clear.
One ox, larger than the rest, refuses to move. Its horns gleam sharp in the dim light. The servant warns, "Careful, he's taken a man's hand before." Fear curls in your stomach. But survival demands courage. You grip a stick, speaking softly, coaxing the beast. Minutes feel like hours. At last, with a grunt, the ox steps aside. Relief floods you. Even the servant looks surprised. "Not bad, stranger, not bad at all." As you work, you notice a figure leaning in the doorway. A familiar one. The tavern woman again. Her arms crossed, eyes sharp, she watches silently. Why is she here? Does she have ties to the manor, or simply curiosity about you? When your eyes meet, she smirks faintly, as if to say, "Prove yourself, or you're done." Then she vanishes into the crowd. Her presence lingers like a challenge you cannot ignore. By late afternoon, the stables are clean, the animals calm. The landlord returns, boots crunching in the straw. He inspects the work with cold precision, then nods. "You are not as useless as you look. Perhaps you may yet serve this village." His words are not praise, they are permission. But in this world, permission can mean survival. You bow slightly, masking your relief. A servant hands you a small pouch. Inside, 2 copper coins, rough and dull. Your first medieval earnings. Yet before you can savor it, the bailiff growls, "Coins mean nothing if you cross the Lord. Step out of line and you'll hang from the gallows tree like the last wanderer who thought himself clever." His words strike cold. The pouch feels heavier than gold, but also heavier with risk. As you step back into the market, villagers watch with new eyes. Some nod slightly, acknowledging your work. Others still mutter, but less harshly. You have survived the first trial. You are no longer just a shadow at the edge of the square. You are a man with sweat, labor, and coin. Yet the road ahead is uncertain. In this world, every trust must be tested again, and every day may bring a new trial. For now, you have earned a fragile place among them. The day slips quietly into dusk. The sun sinks low, painting the thatched rooftops in hues of red and gold. Shadows lengthen across the market square, and the noise of bargaining fades to a hush. Merchants pack away their wares, pulling carts into barns. The air cools sharply, reminding you of the thinness of your borrowed tunic. You have survived the day, but now comes the night, a time even harsher in a medieval world. Villagers move swiftly, lighting torches along the main road. Flames flicker, sending smoke spiraling into the deepening sky. Without them, the streets would drown in darkness. No lamps, no glow of electricity. Only fire keeps the night at bay. You realize then that darkness is not only a fear, but a threat. In shadows, thieves move, wolves prowl, and suspicion grows sharper. To survive tonight, you must find a safe place to rest. The once bustling square empties fast.
Women hurry children indoors, farmers lock barns, and guards take their posts near the manor gate. Laughter fades behind shutters, replaced by the creak of doors bolted tight. Only a handful of figures linger, stragglers, drunkards, wanderers like yourself. For them, the night is not safety, but opportunity. You feel their eyes on you and clutch your small pouch of coins tighter. From across the square, music drifts. A lute, a drum, voices singing rough songs. The tavern glows with firelight, its doors swinging open as men stagger in and out. The smell of ale and roasted meat fills the air, pulling at your hunger and curiosity. The tavern is dangerous, yes, but it is also the heart of the night. If you seek warmth, food, or information, it is there. And yet, stepping inside may mean more risk than reward. You pause at the edge of the square, torn. The once bustling square empties fast. Women hurry children indoors, farmers lock barns, and guards take their posts near the manor gate. Laughter fades behind shutters, replaced by the creak of doors bolted tight. Only a handful of figures linger. Stragglers, drunkards, wanderers like yourself. For them, the night is not safety, but opportunity. You feel their eyes on you and clutch your small pouch of coins tighter. The tavern swallows you in heat, noise, and smoke. Long tables groan with men slamming mugs, dice clattering, laughter turning suddenly into shouts. The air smells of sweat and ale, sharp enough to sting your nose. Barmaids weave between benches, skirts swishing, trays balanced on calloused hands. They laugh too loudly, dodge too quickly, their eyes always scanning for coins. This is no place of rest. It is a battlefield of its own. At the far end of the bar, you see her, the tavern woman. Not serving tonight, but watching. Her dark eyes meet yours, steady and unflinching. She tilts her head, as if she expected you to come. When you approach, she leans forward. "So," she says, voice low, "the stranger survived the Lord's test. Not bad. But nights are different. Men here can turn cruel after drink. Keep your wits sharp, or lose more than your coin." Her warning is not unkind, but sharp enough to cut. A barmaid thrusts a mug into your hand, froth spilling down the sides. Around you, men watch. Their laughter dulls as they notice the newcomer. One whispers, another snorts. Outsiders are entertainment, sometimes prey. You sip cautiously, the bitter liquid burning your throat. The coins in your pouch feel like a beacon, glowing for all to see. You shift uneasily, reminded again that survival here is not just about blending in, but about defending yourself, even without weapons. Dice clatter near your elbow. A man with scars across his cheek grins, slamming a hand down. "Play with us, stranger! Or are you too afraid?" His friends laugh. The tavern falls quieter, waiting for your response. Refuse, and you risk insult. Accept, and you risk your few precious coins. The tavern woman's gaze sharpens. She says nothing, but her eyes seem to ask, "Will you prove yourself again, or will you falter?" You take a breath, steady your hand, and sit. The dice roll, men cheer, mugs slam, the night deepens. You do not know yet whether you will win or lose, but already you have chosen survival the only way you can, by stepping into their world, showing courage, and refusing to cower. Across the tavern, the woman watches with the faintest of smiles. For now, you have found warmth, food, and maybe, just maybe, a fragile place among them. The scarred man slams the dice into a wooden cup, shaking it with a grin that shows more menace than mirth. "A simple game," he growls. "High roll wins, low roll pays." Around you, men lean closer, their mugs forgotten, their eyes sharp. The table is sticky with spilled ale, the air thick with smoke. You place your 2 copper coins on the wood, the same ones earned with sweat and fear at the manor. The man laughs. "All you have in the world, stranger? Let's see if luck favors you."
The dice clatter across the table, bouncing against a plate of bones, rolling to a stop. The man cheers at his roll. A 7. The crowd slaps the table, shouting, "Beat that, stranger!" All eyes turn to you. You pick up the dice, their edges worn smooth, their weight oddly heavy. Your palms sweat. The tavern woman's gaze cuts across the room, steady on you, silent but sharp. You roll. The dice tumble, spin, and fall. 8. The crowd roars. Relief washes through you, but the man only grins wider. "Not bad," the man says, "but one roll proves nothing. Double or nothing." He tosses 2 more coins onto the pile. The crowd chants, "Again! Again!" You hesitate. Risk means loss, but refusal may mark you as coward, prey. Slowly you nod, pushing your last coin forward. The tavern roars approval. The game is no longer about copper. It is about pride, respect, and survival. As the man shakes the cup again, voices rise in drunken song. A lute strums off-key, mugs slam in rhythm, and the whole tavern seems to sway with heat and noise. The dice roll, clattering into the shadows. A 10. The man bellows with triumph, glaring at you with daring eyes. Your stomach knots. This throw may cost you everything. Yet survival demands courage, even when the odds turn cruel. As you reach for the dice, a hand brushes yours. The tavern woman has moved closer, leaning low as if refilling mugs. Her lips barely move as she whispers, "Watch his left hand. He cheats." Then she is gone again, swallowed by smoke and laughter. Your heart hammers. Cheating? Of course. In this world, even games are battles for survival. You must decide, play fair and lose, or match trick with trick. You roll the dice slowly, letting them tumble from your palm with deliberate care. The man's hand twitches, reaching to nudge one before it lands. But this time you're ready. You slam your own hand down, catching the dice mid-bounce. The tavern erupts in shouts. "Let him roll! No tricks!" All eyes blaze with suspicion now, not just at you, but at him. The tension shifts. You let the dice roll again. 11, higher than his. For a moment, silence hangs thick as smoke. Then laughter explodes, mugs crash, fists pound the tables. "The stranger wins!" someone cries. Coins scatter across the wood, push toward you. The scarred man snarls, but the weight of the crowd is against him now. "Cheater!" one spits. "Shame!" another jeers. The man's grin fades into a scowl as he slinks back, his pride wounded more than his purse. You gather the coins, their clink in your pouch louder than any bell. They are not much, copper, a few silver, but to you they are survival, safety, and a kind of victory. Yet the lesson burns deeper. In this world, strength is not only in arms or labor, but in wit, in the courage to see through lies, in the will to stand firm when others would break. From across the room, the tavern woman raises her mug to you, a faint smile ghosting her lips. Not warmth, not affection, but respect. In this place, that respect is worth more than coin. For the first time, you feel you are not entirely alone. Someone has noticed your struggle, someone who understands the thin line between survival and ruin. The night grows late. Men slump over tables. Songs slur into snores. Torches burn low. You sit quietly, coin pouch tucked close, heart still racing from the gamble. Tonight has taught you more than labor or bread ever could. Survival in this world is not about living quietly. It is about facing the storm of eyes, whispers, and danger, and walking out with your head unbowed.
For now, you have survived, but dawn will bring new trials, and the game of survival is far from over.
The tavern has grown quieter now. The songs have ended, the dice lie forgotten, and the fire burns low, crackling softly. Most men slump over their mugs, heads pillowed on their arms. Only a few linger, those who drink slow, who whisper instead of sing, whose eyes stay sharp even in haze. The air is heavy, thick with smoke and secrets. You realize, in silence, more truth is spoken than in song. Two men huddle near the corner, cloaks pulled tight despite the warmth. Their mugs are barely touched, their voices hushed. You cannot hear their words at first, only the tone, urgent, tense, dangerous. The crowd ignores them, but you sense their presence like a blade hidden under cloth. Curiosity stirs in you. In this world, survival depends not only on bread and coin, but on knowing what others do not.
A barmaid passes by, her tray clattering with empty mugs. She glances at you, then at the corner men, her lips tightening. Leaning close, she mutters, "Best keep your ears shut, stranger. Secrets here are heavier than steel. Hear too much, and you may not live to tell it." Then she slips away, swallowed by smoke. Her words chill you, but your instinct fights. Knowledge is danger, yes, but also power. You shift your seat closer, pretending to adjust your cloak, your eyes lowered. At last, their words slip clear through the haze. "Tomorrow night," one mutters. "The Lord's cart passes the mill road. No guard but the bailiff. Easy silver." The other hisses, "And if he suspects?" The first laughs low. "Then we silence him. A throat cut makes no sound." Your breath stills. Bandits, plotting against the manor itself. Your heart pounds. You could warn the bailiff, earn trust with the Lord, but if the men discover you overheard, tonight may be your last. Already, one turns his head slightly, eyes sweeping the room. You lower your gaze, forcing your hands still. To survive this moment, silence is your shield. You sip your ale, slow, steady, as though you are deaf to their whispers.
Across the room, the tavern woman watches again. Her gaze flicks from you to the plotting men, then back. She knows you heard. Her expression is unreadable, half warning, half testing. Does she expect you to speak or to stay silent? In her eyes, you read one truth. Every choice has its cost. Whether you talk or not, you will pay in trust or in danger. At last, the cloaked men rise, coins clattering on the table. Their boots echo as they push through the door, leaving the tavern colder in their absence. A few villagers glance after them, uneasy, but none speak. It is safer, after all, to pretend you heard nothing. Safer, but not wiser. You realize then, you carry a secret that could shift the balance of this village. The tavern grows stiller, only the snore of drunkards and the crackle of dying fire remaining. You touch the pouch of coins at your side, heavy with your winnings. Yet their weight is nothing compared to the secret now lodged in your mind. A secret that could buy trust with the Lord, or buy enemies who would slit your throat in the dark. In this world, knowledge is a blade, sharp on both edges. As you rise to leave, the tavern woman passes close, her voice a thread of sound. You've heard more than most dare. Be careful, stranger. A secret is heavier than hunger, and more dangerous than any blade. Her hand brushes your sleeve. Then she is gone, vanishing into the smoke as if she were never there. Her warning lingers, pressing into your thoughts like iron. You step into the night air, cold enough to sting your lungs. The village is silent now, shutters bolted, torches flickering low. Only the stars watch above, distant and unmoved. You clutch your cloak tighter, carrying with you not just coins, not just hunger, but a choice that will soon demand an answer. For in this world, survival is not only about the body, it is about the weight you dare to carry in silence.
The tavern was strangely quiet the next morning. The usual laughter, the clatter of mugs, the hum of gossip,
It was all muted, as though the building itself held its breath. You sat at a rough wooden table, tracing the grain of the wood with your finger, your mind heavy with the secrets you had overheard the night before. A plot against the landlord, whispers of betrayal, even the dangerous smiles of the tavern women, everything circled in your mind like restless crows. You knew that silence was not peace. Silence was the weight of choice pressing down on you. When you stepped outside, the village air was damp with mist, the kind that clung to your skin and blurred the edges of buildings. In a narrow alley, two men stood hunched together, whispering fast, glancing over their shoulders. You slowed your pace to listen. "Tonight, after dark," one hissed. "The landlord's guard won't expect it," said the other. Your heart pounded. It was real. The plan against the landlord wasn't just drunken talk. It was moving into action. As you moved further down the street, a familiar face appeared. The tavern woman. The same one who had teased you, laughed at you, tested your courage, now looked strangely serious. Her voice dropped low when she came near. "You heard things last night, didn't you?" she asked. Her eyes locked onto yours, sharp and unblinking. You hesitated. Should you admit it? Should you trust her? She leaned closer, her breath warm on your ear. "Be careful what you do with what you know. Around here, one wrong word can cost you your life." Later, by the edge of the fields, a farmer you had met before offered you bread and a smile. "You look lost, stranger," he said gently. "Sometimes survival is not about strength, but about kindness. The people remember who shares, who listens, who protects. That can save you when nothing else will." His words were simple, but they pressed deep into you. Was survival really about alliances, or was it about silence? By noon, the landlord's guard summoned you to the manor once again. The tall stone walls loomed like a warning. Inside, the landlord himself leaned forward, his heavy ringed hands resting on the table. "There is unrest in my village. I hear of whispers, plots, danger. Outsiders like you, strangers, are often caught in the middle. I advise you, stay out of trouble. Do not listen to every drunken tongue." His gaze was sharp, almost threatening. He was giving you a chance to declare loyalty or to remain silent.
That evening, as the sun bled red across the horizon, you found yourself walking alone down a forked road. To the left, the path led back to the tavern, where you knew danger and temptation waited. To the right, the road stretched toward the fields, where the farmers worked until dusk, humble but safe. And straight ahead, far in the distance, stood the castle towers, tall, cold, and filled with power. Each path was a choice. Each choice could change the ending of your single day in this world. Drawn back to the tavern by curiosity, you stepped once more into the haze of smoke and firelight. The woman was there again, laughing now, her serious mask gone. She pressed a cup into your hand. "You worry too much," she said. "One night of laughter won't kill you." But her eyes said something else. Behind the playfulness was yearning. She wanted you to drink, to relax, but was she protecting you from suspicion or pulling you deeper into danger? That night, the farmer found you again, his hands rough from labor, his voice low with urgency. "They're planning something," he whispered. "The attack will happen tonight. If the guards don't know, many could die. But if you tell them, the rebels will hunt you down." You felt the weight of his gaze. He was asking you for honesty, for loyalty to the common people, and yet you also knew the power of the landlord was not to be trifled with. Back at the tavern, as shadows stretched long, the woman pulled you aside, her voice trembling for the first time. "You don't understand," she said. "The rebels aren't all bad. Many of them are desperate, hungry, broken by taxes. But the landlord's cruelty has pushed them too far. If you betray them, you betray their suffering. But if you protect them, you put your own life in danger." Her eyes softened, almost pleading. "So what will you choose, stranger? Silence or truth?" At last, you sat alone beneath the stars, your back against a rough wall, your heart heavy with decision. Every path seemed dangerous, every choice carried risk. Would you stay silent, protect the rebels and risk the wrath of the landlord? Or would you reveal the truth, save the manor, and earn the hatred of the villagers? The medieval night pressed close, filled with the sounds of crickets, distant laughter, the faint toll of a church bell. And you knew, before this day ended, you would have to choose.
The night was heavy with mist, the kind that swallowed torches and blurred the shapes of men. At the edge of the village, 3 paths opened before you. One led to the manor gates, guarded by soldiers with lanterns. Another wound toward the tavern, loud with drunken singing. The third faded into the fields, where shadows moved like restless ghosts. You knew, no matter which road you chose, tonight your silence would break. Far in the distance, a church bell rang out, once, twice. The slow, deliberate sound cut through the night like a warning. In medieval towns, bells carried meaning: alarm, danger, death. You froze, listening. The villagers stirred in their houses, shutters closed quickly, doors barred. Something was beginning. From the fields, the farmer appeared, sweat shining on his brow despite the chill. "It's tonight," he whispered hoarsely. "They will march against the manor. If the guards aren't warned, blood will spill." He gripped your arm tight. "Say something, do something. You can't stand between both sides forever." His eyes searched yours, begging you to act. At the tavern door, the woman caught your gaze. Her smile was gone, her voice sharp as she leaned close. "Don't be a fool. If you warn the manor, they'll crush the villagers like ants. But if you side with the villagers, you'll be hunted as an enemy of the Lord. Either way, someone loses." Her hand brushed your sleeve, a fleeting touch. "Remember, you only have tonight. Tomorrow may never come." From the hilltop, the manor blazed with firelight. Guards paced the walls, their armor clinking, their voices harsh in the cold air. The landlord himself stood on the balcony, surveying his lands like a hawk. His presence radiated both strength and arrogance. You felt the pull. Tell him, and you could secure his favor, perhaps even protection. But what price would the villagers pay?
In the dark fields, figures moved, dozens of them, carrying crude weapons, faces hidden in scarves and shadows. They were not soldiers, just desperate men and women hardened by hunger. You heard their murmurs, their anger, their trembling courage. They spoke of freedom, of ending cruelty, of a future where their children would not starve. Their passion struck something deep inside you, but passion could also lead to ruin. Back inside the tavern, the atmosphere was tense. The laughter was forced, the music off-key. Every patron seemed to watch you, waiting to see what side you would choose. The woman slid a mug of ale toward you, but leaned in close, her whisper cutting sharper than any blade. "You don't belong here, stranger, but tonight you will decide where you stand. Drink if you wish to forget. Speak if you wish to change everything."
Near the tavern's corner, a cloaked man you had never seen before suddenly spoke. His voice was calm, deliberate. Sometimes survival is not about sides. It is about the story you leave behind. Will people remember you as a coward who stayed silent, or as a soul brave enough to act, even when there was no safe path? His words lingered, echoing in your mind like prophecy. The night reached its stillest hour. The rebels marched. The guards tightened their grip on spears. The tavern grew quiet as if the world itself was listening. And you, caught in the center, felt the weight of history pressing down. The choice could not wait. Would you warn the manor? Would you march with the villagers? Or would you vanish into the night, leaving both sides to their fate? As you stood beneath the stars, your breath misting in the cold air, a strange calm settled over you. Perhaps the medieval world had been testing you from the moment you arrived. Perhaps survival was not about right or wrong, but about living with the consequences of choice. The bell rang again, louder, faster, urgent. Somewhere in the distance, a cry went up. Tonight, the decision would be made, and tomorrow, the world would not be the same.
The stillness of midnight shattered with a scream, then another. Torches flared, feet pounded against stone, and the village that had seemed so calm only hours before now trembled with chaos. The bell tolled without rest, each strike ringing like a heartbeat of fear. You stepped into the street, and the world around you had changed. Shadows no longer whispered, they roared. A torch flew through the night and struck a wooden roof. Fire licked upward, orange and furious, painting the dark sky with rage. Smoke thickened, curling into every alley, choking the air. Villagers rushed out, carrying buckets, shouting to one another, but the fire spread faster than their hands could fight. It was not an accident. It was the first act of rebellion. Through the smoke, they came. Men and women clutching pitchforks, axes, and blades forged in secret. Their voices rose together in a cry that shook the ground. Enough, they shouted. No more taxes. No more hunger. Their faces were hard with desperation, their eyes shining with both courage and fear. You could see it. This was no army. This was survival given teeth. From the manor gates, armored guards thundered into the village, shields raised, spears gleaming. Their orders rang out sharp, cutting through the chaos. Hold the line, protect the Lord's lands. Metal clashed with wood, shield met pitchfork, and the quiet medieval town transformed into a battlefield. The cobblestones echoed with cries of pain, courage, and defiance. Amidst the chaos, you saw the farmer, the same kind man who had offered you bread. His face was streaked with ash, his voice hoarse as he shouted for his family to stay back. He swung a tool meant for soil, not war, but his stance was unbroken. "We fight for tomorrow," he cried. For a moment, your heart clenched. This was not rebellion for greed. This was rebellion for life.
The tavern still stood, though its windows glowed with the light of fire. Inside, voices shouted, mugs crashed, and the woman you knew so well burst into the street, skirts flying as she pulled others to safety. Her eyes found yours across the smoke-filled chaos. She did not smile. She did not tease. She simply shook her head, as though warning you, choose wisely, or be swallowed whole. From his balcony, the landlord watched, robes bright against the night sky. His voice thundered above the battle. "Crush them! Show them their place!" His words rained like stones upon the villagers, cold and merciless. Yet, even from here, you could see the fear in his eyes. The rebellion was larger than he expected. His control was slipping. Through the clamor, a memory echoed. The cloaked stranger's voice from the tavern. Survival is about the story you leave behind. Will you be silent or act? His words became heavier now. This was the moment. You could still remain in the shadows, slipping away while both sides tore each other apart. But perhaps, just perhaps, your voice could tip the balance. Near the burning market, a child screamed, trapped between fallen beams. Without thinking, you rushed forward, pulling the heavy wood aside. Smoke burned your throat, heat blistered your hands, but the child stumbled free into their mother's arms. For one heartbeat, the world stopped. Eyes, both rebel and guard, turned to you, an outsider, a stranger, but one who had acted. The fire roared higher, and the cries of both villagers and soldiers filled the air. The moment had come. You could speak now, raise your voice for one side, or remain silent and let the night consume itself. The choice lay heavy on your chest, heavier than the smoke, heavier than the stars above. The medieval night burned with fire and fury, and your survival was tied to the decision you would make next.
The fire painted the night in colors of war. Orange flames, black smoke, silver sparks of steel. Rebels shouted for freedom, guards shouted for order, and the cobblestones trembled under the weight of their clash. You stood between them, the outsider, the stranger who did not belong. Yet in this moment, every eye seemed to turn toward you, waiting for your choice. A man with ash-streaked cheeks stumbled to you, his voice raw. "Stranger, you've seen our hunger, our empty fields, our children crying at night. Stand with us, raise your voice, and maybe the others will follow. Help us end his cruelty." His words were fierce, his desperation burning hotter than the fire around him. Before you could answer, a guard grabbed your arm. His grip was iron, his eyes hard. "This rebellion is treason. Side with them and you'll hang at dawn. But if you speak for order, for the Lord's will, you will be protected. Choose wisely. Your life depends on it." His armor glinted in the firelight, a promise of strength and a warning of chains. From the tavern doorway, the woman stood, smoke swirling behind her. She said nothing, but her eyes told 1,000 words. "Do not choose in fear," they seemed to say. "Do not choose for reward. Choose what your heart can bear when dawn comes." For once, her laughter was gone. Only truth remained in her gaze. Beyond the clash, farmers raised their tools like weapons, voices raw with pain. "We are not soldiers! We are hungry!" Their words carried across the square, louder than swords, louder than fire. Their suffering was a truth you could not deny, but truth alone could not stop steel. Above, the landlord's voice cut through the smoke. "End this! Crush them before the fire spreads!" His arrogance rang like a whip, his command filled with fury. From his high walls, he looked down as though the village were nothing more than a board of pawns. In that voice, you heard not strength, but fear of losing his power. From the corner of the burning square, the cloaked stranger appeared again, his voice calm in the chaos. "You cannot escape this moment. To act or not to act, it is all the same. Your silence will be remembered as loudly as your words. So what will your story be?" His eyes gleamed as though he already knew your choice. You felt the weight in your chest, heavy as stone. The world seemed to hold its breath. Your feet moved, forward, into the firelit square. Each step rang louder than the shouts around you, louder than the clash of weapons. Both sides paused, waiting, watching. You were not a villager. You were not a guard. You were something different. Perhaps the voice the night itself had been waiting for. At last, your voice rose, soft at first, then strong. You spoke of hunger, of cruelty, of fear,
of the cost of war. You spoke of survival, not of sides. There is no victory in fire, you said, only ashes. If you fight tonight, there will be nothing left for dawn. Your words cut through the air like a blade, sharper than steel. For a moment, the cries dulled, the weapons lowered, and the village listened. The flames still roared, the guards still held their spears, the rebels still clenched their tools, yet a silence settled between them, fragile as glass. The night did not end in peace, nor in blood, but in waiting for what the next moment would bring. And you, the stranger who had spoken in fire, stood at the center. Survival was not yet certain, but for the first time, the night no longer belonged only to fear.
The square no longer echoed with battle cries. Instead, it whispered, murmurs in the shadows, whispers in the dark. The flames had died to glowing embers, casting long shadows across broken barrels and scattered tools. Yet the silence felt heavier than the fire itself, as though something unseen waited in the dark. You noticed a pair of guards near the well, speaking too quietly, their helmets tilted close. One glanced at you, then quickly looked away. Their words were hushed, but the tone was sharp, like knives hidden behind smiles. Betrayal often begins not with shouts, but with whispers. Later, inside the smoky tavern, the woman leaned close as she poured you a drink. "Careful, stranger," she murmured, her voice soft enough that no one else could hear. The flames did not burn out the greed of men. Some now speak of using you, not helping you. Remember, trust is the first coin of betrayal. Her eyes searched yours, as if hoping you would believe her. In the back corner, one of the rebels slipped a parchment into another's hand. Their faces were tight with secrecy, their shoulders hunched as though the walls themselves might betray them. The parchment disappeared into a cloak, and with it, a glance toward you. They smiled, but the smile never touched their eyes. Once again, the cloaked man appeared, as if summoned by tension. His voice was calm, steady, unsettling. A village divided is easy prey, but beware, stranger, betrayal is not always in the blade. Sometimes it is in the silence of those who watch, but do not act. He looked toward the woman, toward the guards, toward the rebels, as if each carried a shadow deeper than the night.
Near midnight, a rider entered the square, his horse foaming from the journey. He bore the Lord's colors and carried a sealed letter. The guards bowed low, but his eyes flicked to you, suspicion, calculation, judgment, all in one. The letter was read aloud, orders to tighten control, to arrest troublemakers, and to watch strangers with care. The words struck like chains, invisible but heavy. The villagers looked at you now with mixed eyes, some with hope, some with doubt, some with fear. Whispers grew. Was the stranger friend or spy? Was the voice in the flames truly for them or just another mask? In their silence, you felt the ground shift. Trust is fragile. One wrong step, and it breaks. Later, as you walked the narrow alley behind the tavern, you heard the scrape of steel. A blade flashed in the dark, aimed not at your chest, but at the rebel who had slipped the parchment. The assassin moved swiftly, but the strike was silent, hidden beneath the cover of night. Betrayal had come alive, no longer whisper, but blade. Do you act? Do you stop the knife, risk revealing yourself? Or do you step back into the shadows, letting betrayal claim its victim? Your heart beat loud, each thump like a drum. The alley seemed to hold its breath. Every choice carries a cost, silence or risk. Whether you acted or stood aside, the alley swallowed the moment. The knife clattered, or the body fell, or the shadow slipped away. Only the night knew the truth. But one thing was certain. Betrayal had entered the village, and nothing would be the same. As dawn approached, the flames of rebellion were gone, yet the smoke of suspicion lingered heavier than ever.
The night finally broke. Faint light crept over the thatched rooftops, washing away the glow of dying embers. Smoke still curled from the square, but in the pale dawn, the fire seemed only a memory. Yet memory lingers longer than flames, and every villager carried it in their eyes. The market did not open with cheer. Instead, stalls creaked open with hesitation, baskets half empty, hands trembling. Voices stayed low, glances sharp. A village is never the same after whispers of betrayal. Suspicion spreads faster than fire and harder to put out. Inside the tavern, the woman moved differently. No playful laughter, no sly remarks. She poured ale in silence, her eyes darting toward the door, the windows, the corners. Something weighed on her, and though she would not speak it, you felt it. Survival often hides behind silence. By the well, farmers gathered, buckets in hand, but not only for water. Their whispers carried fear. Some spoke of the guards planning arrests. Others muttered of rebels plotting revenge. A few wondered if the stranger, if you, were truly on their side. Hope and doubt mixed in their words, heavy as the stones of the well itself. At the edge of the square, guards stood taller than before, spears polished, eyes sharp. They were no longer just protectors, they were watchers. Every step you took felt measured, every move noted. Their silence was louder than words, a reminder that survival here was fragile. By mid-morning, a messenger returned with fresh parchment, sealed in red wax. The decree was read aloud. Any who conspire against the Lord shall be hanged. Any who aid them shall share their fate. The words settled like chains across the crowd, and no one dared speak. But silence is not obedience. It is the soil where rebellion grows. As the villagers dispersed, a small hand tugged at your sleeve. A child, no more than 10, whispered quickly, "They say someone is watching you. Someone who wants you gone." Before you could answer, the child vanished into the crowd, leaving only fear in their words. As if the morning light summoned him, the cloaked man appeared, leaning against the tavern wall. "Dawn brings no peace," he said softly. "Only new masks for the same faces. Be careful, stranger. In daylight, betrayal wears a smile." His gaze held yours for a moment, then drifted to the tavern woman, the guards, the farmers, as though he saw through them all. By noon, hunger gnawed at you. The bread was stale, the water warm, but even these were rare gifts. In survival, hunger sharpens choices. Should you stay in the village, where suspicion coils tighter each hour, or slip away to the forest, where new dangers wait? Both paths whispered risk. As the sun climbed, shadows grew longer across the square. But in those shadows, you felt eyes upon you, unseen, patient, waiting. Betrayal was not over. It had only shifted with the dawn. Somewhere in the village, a plan was already unfolding, and whether you stayed or fled, the day would demand your choice. At last, the weight of the village became too heavy. Every glance burned, every whisper cut, and you knew survival would not last within those walls. With nothing but a cloak and a crust of bread, you slipped quietly through the northern gate. The road stretched into the forest, shadows swallowing you whole. The forest air was colder than the village square, filled with damp earth and pine. Birds called overhead, their voices sharp against the silence.
Each step sank into soft soil, and for a moment the world felt larger, older, and freer. But freedom is never simple. In the dirt, you noticed tracks, some hoof prints, some boot marks, too fresh to be old. Others walked this way before you, and not long ago. Were they hunters, soldiers, or wanderers like yourself? Survival meant caution, so you stepped lightly, keeping to the edges of the trail. The woods were alive with sounds, the crack of branches, the rustle of leaves, the cry of a crow circling above. But some noises did not belong. Metal clinking, voices hushed. Somewhere nearby, men waited. The forest did not hide you as well as you hoped. Thirst drove you off the path, down a slope where a thin stream trickled. The water was cold, pure, a relief to dry lips. You drank slowly, hands trembling. Yet, even in this quiet, you felt the trees watching, the wind whispering secrets only the forest knew.
Further along the hidden track, a hut appeared, small, crooked, covered in moss. Smoke drifted faintly from its chimney. Someone lived here, deep in the woods, far from village eyes. Survival gave you two choices: knock and risk trust, or pass by and risk the unknown. Either way, the forest demanded a decision. You knocked. The door creaked open, revealing an old man with eyes like river stones. His voice rasped low. "The woods are not safe tonight. Soldiers ride these paths, and wolves follow them. If you stay, you may live. If you wander, you may not." His words carried both kindness and threat, as though truth itself was dangerous. The forest dimmed as the sun slid lower, branches weaving a ceiling of shadows. The old man lit a single candle, its flame trembling. Outside, the howl of a wolf rose, answered by another, closer. Fear thickened the air, but so did resolve. Survival was no longer about bread and water. It was about where you stood when the dark came. Hoofbeats thundered faintly beyond the trees. The hermit blew out the candle, plunging the hut into silence. Through a crack in the wall, you saw armored riders flash by, their torches flickering. The Lord's men had entered the forest. Were they searching for rebels or for you? The hermit leaned close, whispering, "When dawn comes, you must choose. Stay hidden here or take the forest road deeper, where danger grows, but freedom waits. Remember, every path costs something." His words lingered long after he turned away, and in the hush of the forest, you felt the weight of survival pressing harder than ever. The forest was no longer a place of quiet. Night pressed heavy between the trees, and the sky disappeared behind branches that tangled like black veins. Every shadow seemed alive. Every gust of wind carried footsteps. You could not tell if the world had grown silent, or if it was only waiting. From deep in the woods came a howl, long, sharp, rising like a blade through the night. Another answered, closer and closer still. The hermit sat stiff by the fire, muttering words you could not understand. Wolves had always stalked the forest, but tonight their voices carried hunger. The small fire flickered, shadows stretching across the hut's crooked walls. Each shift of flame made the room tremble with shapes, figures of men, snarling wolves, soldiers with spears. In survival, even fire becomes an enemy, showing what you fear most. At last, the hermit spoke. "These are not ordinary nights. The Lord's men hunt rebels, and the wolves follow them. Blood on the road draws both beast and man. Stranger, if you are caught in a gaze, neither will spare you." His words were not just warning, they were prophecy. Suddenly, a sound,
low, dragging, sharp at the wooden door. A paw? A hand? The hermit raised a finger to silence you. The scratching grew louder, then stopped. Silence pressed harder than the noise itself, and your breath caught in your chest. From beyond the hut, torches glimmered faintly. The crunch of boots on fallen leaves grew nearer. Voices, low, angry, echoed between the trees. The Lord's men had returned, hunting, searching, sniffing out secrets hidden in the night. If they found you here, the hermit's hut would burn with you inside. The hermit moved quickly, pulling back a rug on the floor. Beneath it lay a trap door, rough and old, leading to darkness below. "Go," he whispered, "and make no sound. What waits outside is not meant for you, not yet." His hand trembled, but his eyes were steady. You slipped into the hole, the trapdoor closing above. Darkness swallowed you whole, air thick with earth. Your hands brushed stone, your breath echoed against dirt walls. Above, muffled voices rose, the soldiers at the door. The hermit's voice answered them, calm but strained. Their words blurred, but one sentence cut through the floorboards. "We know he is here." Your blood ran cold. Had someone in the village betrayed you, or had the hermit himself whispered your name to survive? In the dark, trust broke like glass. Time stretched like a blade's edge. You waited, unmoving, as boots scraped above your head. The fire crackled, a chair toppled, voices cursed. Then silence, long, unbearable. Were they gone? Or had they only decided to wait outside, in the forest, in the dark? Survival now meant patience, but patience itself felt like a trap. Hours passed in the blackness beneath the floor. The earth smelled damp. The walls pressed close, and every sound became unbearable. Your heartbeat seemed louder than footsteps. At last, faint light leaked through a crack, the first pale glow of dawn. But with it came no peace, only the question of whether survival meant rising or staying hidden forever. The trap door creaked open, slow and careful. The hermit's face appeared, pale, weary, yet unbroken. "They are gone, for now," he whispered. His voice carried both relief and fear, as though danger only slept, never died. His hand reached for yours, helping you back into the fragile morning light. Outside, the forest lay damp with dew. Birds stirred cautiously, and mist wound through the trees like ghosts reluctant to leave. Yet the silence was heavy, as though the woods themselves remembered the boots and torches that had trampled them in the night. The old man handed you a small bundle, bread hard as stone, water in a leather flask, and a knife worn thin from years of use. He said, "This is all I can give. If you wish to live, follow the stream until it widens. Beyond it lies safety, or death. But it is better than waiting for the wolves." His eyes glimmered, knowing he was giving you not food, but hope. You followed the stream as he said, until it grew into a river. The water rushed fast, swollen from the night's rains. Crossing it would be dangerous, yet on the other side, sunlight broke through the trees, lighting a path of gold. Survival demanded courage, even in the face of drowning.
You stepped into the water, cold biting your legs, current pulling you under. The knife strapped to your belt weighed heavy. Bread threatened to slip from your grasp. But every desperate step forward carried you closer to the far bank. At last, with lungs burning, you pulled yourself onto the opposite shore, gasping, alive. As you rose, dripping,
A sound froze you, a low growl, deep and patient. From the tree line, two golden eyes stared, unblinking, unhurried. A wolf, larger than you imagined, its fur silver in the dawn. It did not attack, it only watched, as though judging whether you belonged in its world. Then, with a final growl, it turned and vanished into the forest. Survival, this time, was granted. On the far side of the river, the trees thinned. A dirt road stretched ahead, leading not to danger, but to distant hills. Smoke rose faintly in the distance. Another village, another chance. You realized then that the medieval world was vast, and though danger filled it, so did endless paths. At the bend in the road, a figure waited. The cloaked man, the one who had haunted the village, the tavern, the forest. He lifted his hood, revealing eyes neither cruel nor kind, but knowing. "You've survived your first day," he said softly. "Few do, but survival is only the beginning. Now you must decide. Will you remain in this world or seek to return to your own?" His words struck deeper than fear, for they offered choice where before there had been none. The sun broke fully over the horizon, flooding the land with gold. The river shimmered, the trees glowed, and the path ahead stretched endless. You felt the weight of a single day behind you. Hunger, fear, betrayal, mercy, survival. And now, in the quiet of dawn, you held the truth. One day in the medieval world was not just survival, it was discovery of courage, of fragility, of yourself.
The cloaked man stood silent as the sun spilled gold across the land. His question hung in the air. Will you remain here or return to your own world? The river behind you whispered of escape, but the path ahead called louder, like a heartbeat that did not belong to the modern age. You thought of your life before, glowing screens, busy streets, endless noise. Comfort, yes, but empty of silence. Here in the medieval world, every sound mattered, every step carried weight. Painful, dangerous, but real. And in that rawness, you had discovered a strength you never knew you had. The man's eyes studied you. Slowly he smiled, not with joy, but with understanding. "Most beg to go back," he whispered. "But you have tasted the soil, the fear, the hunger, and still you stand. That is not weakness, that is belonging." Your feet moved before your mind did. One step onto the dirt road, then another. The path did not promise safety, but it promised life, unfiltered, unshaped, untamed. With each step, you felt the modern world fade, like mist in the rising sun. The man removed his cloak and draped it across your shoulders. The fabric smelled of smoke and earth. He said, "Take this. It will mark you not as an outsider, but as one who belongs to the road." The weight of it felt like an oath. Far ahead, smoke rose from another village. The sound of bells carried faintly on the breeze. Children's laughter echoed across the valley. It was not your home, but it could be. For the first time, you felt not lost, but found. You turned once, glancing at the river, the trees, the place where the choice had been made. For a moment, you almost saw the faint outline of your old world shimmering like a mirage. But when you blinked, it was gone. Only the medieval path remained. The cloaked man nodded, then turned away, disappearing into the forest without sound. You knew you would not see him again. He was never meant to stay, only to test, to guide, to witness. Survival was no longer his gift to you. It was yours to carry forward. As you neared the village, figures noticed you. A farmer paused his plow. A woman waved from a cottage door. Children ran to the roadside. No suspicion in their eyes, no whispers of betrayal, only curiosity and something gentler, acceptance. The sun climbed higher, painting the fields with light. You took a deep breath, filling your lungs with air that was not borrowed, but truly your own. You had survived the first day. And now, as you walked into the heart of a medieval world, you understood this was no longer survival. This was living. Thank you for walking this path with dream-woven history. Tonight, you have journeyed into a world far from our own, where castles rose against the sky, where laughter filled the taverns, and where one traveler, perhaps much like you, found a home. He did not stay in the medieval age for power or for riches, but for something far rarer. He stayed because he discovered what so many of us search for even today: belonging. A place where every sunrise felt real, where every voice mattered, and where even the smallest kindness shone brighter than gold. For him, home was not measured in centuries, but in peace. Not in luxury, but in love. And though he had only one day, that day became the beginning of a new life. So as you close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let your thoughts drift, remember, sometimes the truest journeys are not across oceans or years, but within the heart itself. Good night, dreamer. Sleep well until our next story.